Italy has fined the Chinese fast fashion online retailer Shein $1.7 million for misleading customers on the environmental impact of its products. The e-commerce giant also faces a possible $260 million fine from France for failing to properly get consent to track users on the internet. Nina Gabor is a sustainable fashion educator and is with me in the studio. Very good to see you, Nina. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So can you tell us more about these cases against Shein then? What were they about? Because Italy and France are making different complaints about the retailer, aren't they?
Yes, they are. So this particular case, as you mentioned, is about $1.7 million. So for misleading customers, basically greenwashing, on claims about a collection they call Evolution, right? Which is one that uses some leftover materials from other fashion brands that would have been destined for landfill or incineration. So it made it sound like the materials are perhaps recyclable. And that was a deception with consumers. So the claims were also vague, generic, there were omissions, so they were just found to be sort of just overall false and misleading.
So it's all about landfill, is it?
Yeah,
Shein
landfill, claims that make customers think that they're doing something that's good for the environment, but it absolutely isn't. Because when Italy says that, some of the claims are not verified, I'm assuming that maybe some of the materials are not actually leftover materials from other brands, or maybe that they weren't destined for landfill. So it could be a matter of different things.
Okay. France is going down a different route. It's talking about the use of customers' data.
Yeah. So the use of customers' data, not clarifying. I think they use cookies, because Shein uses a lot of AI, especially around algorithms and things like that. So cookies are a thing that are very confusing in the first place. I tend to struggle. I don't like to read a lot of the fine print, but when it's claiming that, when it's not clear with customers what that data is being used for, you're tracking customers for additional profits and sales, I think, and you're not open and clear about and transparent about it, then yeah.
So Shein is a giant in the e-commerce space.
Absolutely.
Can you just remind us how much it's grown over what time period, and who shops there?
Yeah, it's about a 12-year company. So in the space of its existence, in 2022, it was valued at $100 billion. In Australia, it sells about over $1 billion a year, according to the Australian Financial Review and other assessments. It's one of the biggest polluters in the fashion industry alone. So it releases about 16.7 million tons of CO2 emissions a year. So it's a lot, and it ships probably about 1 million products a day. And at any given point, it'll have about 600,000 items on its website from a range of different suppliers, tens of thousands of different suppliers. So it's massive.
It's cheap as well.
The average cost of an item, we're talking shirts, dresses, jackets, coats. The average cost of an item on Shein is between $10 and $20. Yeah.
People want to do the right thing, but the harsh reality is that there is a cost of living crisis. Is there anywhere else that people can go for alternative items to what Shein?
So we've recommended in the past taxing ultra-fast fashion brands such as Shein, and giving that revenue to Australian fashion brands, which would boost our economy and also help our own textiles industry. Now, people get upset because, like you said, cost of living crisis, people think that's all they can afford, but that's absolutely not true. People can buy secondhand, people can host clothes swaps, which are free. They can attend clothes swaps and host clothes swaps. And we're in an era where we have so many free clothing services, such as Thread Together and others across the country. But what's most important, the point I like to put across, is that there are a lot of toxic chemicals in a lot of these fast fashion products. Right? The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation a few years ago did a study on children's clothing and found 20 times the amount of lead that's considered safe in clothing, jackets, and bags for toddlers. And we know that lead affects the brain and developmental issues in children, for example. So that's something I think people need to consider with buying fast fashion, because yes, you're paying a small amount, but in the long run, you could be paying a lot more. There's things like chemicals that impact fertility issues, carcinogens, and a lot of other toxic chemicals that we don't want in or on our bodies.